big picture. Now, in the budget which was presented by the Union Finance Minister on 1st of February, there has been a lot of focus on green energy initiatives. We'll try and understand all those aspects, what exactly has been allocated to various aspects of green energy there, and how will it eventually turn out in terms of the implementation part. For example, the hydrogen energy mission to be launched, that's one aspect, and then additional capital infusion for solar energy and renewable energy aspects as well. For more on this and to try and understand it in a much better manner, we have with us a distinguished panel of experts. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Pawan Mullukutla. He is the Director of Electric Mobility Program under Sustainable Cities at World Resource Institute, India. We're also joined by Prachi Gupta. She is Consultant Energy with Niti Aayog. And we have Mr. Shirish S. Garud as well, Associate Director, Renewable Energy Technologies at TERI. Welcome, all of you, to Rajya Sabha Television. Let me begin with you, Mr. Shishir, Mr. Shirish. And let's, try and understand not only what is being said in the budget, but the overall context as well with the backdrop, because this is based on a sort of a consistent policy here as well. Whenever you're talking about even renewable energy or even, solar energy and the hydrogen energy mission as well.
Thank you, Pawan, for inviting me for this big picture. And as the name suggests, let me take a couple of minutes to give the real big picture as far as the green energy is concerned. If you know, in 2014 or 15, the government, in enhanced target of solar mission from 20 megawatt to 20 gigawatt to 100 gigawatt, plus a total renewable, electricity generation capacity to 175 gigawatt by 2022. And as we speak, in 2020, we are already around 91 gigawatt, out of which 38 is wind and 34 gigawatt is solar. So while doing that, in 2015-16, when we had Paris commitment for international carbon and climate change negotiations, we said we'll have almost 40% of renewables in our power generation. And subsequently, the renewable target for 2030 was announced to 450 gigawatt. So first, the 100 gigawatt itself created a lot of investments, portfolios, a lot of projects came in, and that with 450 gigawatt target has set the stone rolling. And now, in this context, if you look at what future lies for entire sector, now two aspects quickly. One, the budget primarily focuses on spending on infrastructure development, and no infrastructure can be complete without energy. So energy becomes, and in today's context, it has to be clean energy. We have seen that solar energy is now 2 rupees a unit, which is cheaper than new coal power plant. And so we see that all the new energy requirements should come from renewables. And if that has to happen, hydrogen also becomes a major part of the picture. So that is how I see that government has, set a clear-cut pathway for development of clean energy in the country.
Okay. So clearly, energy and infrastructure development are closely interlinked, as Mr. Shirish is pointing out, and that is why focus more on green energy and clean energy there. Prachi, from your point of view, if you're looking at the policies which are already under implementation and the kind of announcements or the capital allocation which has been made in this particular budget, how do you believe that will boost this prospect of use of green energy, clean energy in various fields?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the government, this has been a green growth government, and the reforms that the government has been taking have been tremendous to boost renewable energy in India. Particularly, if we look at some of the measures that would further enhance investment to renewable energy in India, is one of the domestic manufacturing, increasing the domestic manufacturing capacity in India, whether it is the PLI schemes for manufacturing solar panels, or through this budget, the PLI scheme has been extended to the ACC. Advanced chemical cells as well in the auto sector.
Mhm.
So I think, particularly with respect to more reforms that the budget has undertaken, whether it's the power sector, infusion of more money, and building a reformed scheme for power discoms, infusing money and to upgrade the infrastructure, infusion of smart meters, whether it's the power sector, whether it's the renewable energy sector. We are already the third largest solar installed capacity in the world and fourth largest renewable energy installed capacity country in the world. So yeah, the infusion of money into renewable sector through IREDA and SICI. Then if we look at hydrogen mission, as you already highlighted, hydrogen is the key clean fuel for the future. So I guess the initiatives, this was a much needed reform, particularly launching the hydrogen energy mission. If we look at the Western countries, the European countries, Germany, they've already a hydrogen mission in place. So I think setting the ball rolling for in the last two budgets as well, there have been many green initiatives, and with the infusion of money into power sector, renewable energy, and I would say the voluntary scrapping policy will help in uptake of electric vehicles in India.
Mhm.
So I think the reforms that this budget has particularly focused on green growth, that are really commendable and will definitely help in enhancing the uptake of cleaner fuels in India.
Okay, definitely. Green growth is the way to go ahead from there onwards. Let me also bring in Mr. Pawan here. Mr. Pawan, in your views, how significant is the decision to go ahead and launch that hydrogen energy mission, and how will it eventually turn out in your views, on the ground there? Because people will have to also understand the way hydrogen energy is produced and the way it can be used.
No, absolutely. I think one of the big announcements in the budget is the hydrogen mission itself. And there are a couple of things that it was very clearly announced that, it will be green hydrogen, meaning that it is going to come from renewable sources, and that's going to be really path breaking in Indian context specifically. Couple of things that really that we should definitely look into would be becoming part of the global value chain for hydrogen itself, and there's much more that India could do. For example, from manufacturing the stacks and the electrolyzers to really the for the storage, we could really think of the pipelines and the tanks. So there's much more that the hydrogen sector itself can offer. And in terms of mobility also, really moving for long distance, whether it is urban freight movement between cities and states, and also for the passenger movement. I think that's a very, very promising initiative to really look at this. Right now, we really definitely need a strategy in place, and the mission would really take up that. And coupled with thinking of few pilot initiatives, I think hydrogen is definitely one of the alternatives that India needs to consider from its energy security perspective, and also about moving people around. But I think three other initiatives were highlighted in the budget as well from the green perspective. One was obviously the scrappage policy for individuals with 20 years, and for commercial vehicles with 15 years. But I think two other things was for the first time we heard about private financing of 20,000 crores, 18,000 crores for 20,000 buses, and innovative financing with public-private partnerships. I think that would really revolutionize the way public transportation system and bus systems would move in India. And of course, the metro itself was talked about, this support in Chennai, in Bangalore, in Nasik, and a couple of other cities. So I think there are different angles to which the mobility sector itself was tackled in the budget. And these are very initial, I think, very good initiatives that the government has talked about. And definitely hydrogen is something that India needs to look at for both mobility and, of course, its industrial needs as well.
Okay, definitely. As far as public transport system is concerned, as you're pointing out, Pawan, there, that less dependency on personal vehicles will obviously bring down the carbon footprint, and that is why the focus there on more buses, more metro corridors there under the PPP mode as well. Obviously, that will help. Let me go back to Shirish here. Shirish, from your point of view, the importance of hydrogen energy when we're talking about, the clean energy initiative, not only for the infrastructure sector, but for the mobility, sector there as well.
Yes, yes. Actually, we at TERI are working on hydrogen and particularly on green hydrogen economy for last couple of years. And we are also working with couple of Japanese institutes. Today there is about 6 tons of hydrogen is produced in the country. Our estimate is that by 2050, it will go up at least by 5 times. Mainly, see, right now, hydrogen is a byproduct of some refinery processes and also used in fertilizers. But in the context of renewable energy, hydrogen has a certain a role to play. It can be used as a carrier and as a fuel cum storage like petrol or diesel. And thirdly, it can also be used directly as a fuel. And as Pawan mentioned earlier, the hydrogen for large scale or long distance transport is one very big possibility. It can be railways, it can be large shipping, or even it can be buses or trucks where road transport is through hydrogen vehicles.
Okay.
Because electric vehicles have their own limitations when there is a huge, capacity is required in terms of, long distance, long range vehicles are concerned. And in terms of renewables, when we are going for 450